welcome to Soul Circles and my next guest, Kyle Emanuel Brown. You know what? You changed my life. And yeah, really, you really did. And I want you to introduce yourself, but we're sitting here in Boulder, Colorado. And 27 years ago, my husband and I drove through it, really not understanding what Boulder, Colorado was at the time. But we stopped on Pearl Street and we walked through it. And I turned to my husband and I said, we're going to live here one day. And 27 years later, we live in Denver, not Boulder, but we're getting there. And I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, our mutual friend Leah said, you have to join this spiritual entrepreneur group. It's mostly in Boulder, and you're going to love it, and you will find aligned people. And that changed my life.
Wow.
And so for so many reasons, I want you to come here, and we're going to have this great conversation. But I want to start with, sometimes you don't know how you affect people, and you affected my life. And you affected my husband's life. And so what you're doing, and I want to hear about everything you're doing, but what specifically you've done for the Boulder surrounding areas for us has opened up a community of people that I never knew I knew it was there, but I didn't have access to it. So thank you.
Well, received. Thank you.
I'm glad you received that.
It's been one of those things that has felt so aligned. And when I've looked at it through the lens, building this community called Rooted or Colorado Rooted Entrepreneurs, it's been one of those projects that the flow, once I got out of my head and into my heart with this, has just been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's life-changing because I think it gives us permission to be wacky and woo-woo and spiritual and serious.
Yes.
And I love that.
And it's not really like this business networking group where, I see a lot of them when it's like, you must show up during the busiest business hours at 7:00 on a Thursday and come with 3 names of people you're going to refer to a bunch of people you've never worked with.
Right.
And to me, it just makes me want to vomit. That's like the most disconnected way to create community. And for me, it's much more like, well, if I can curate the right heart-centered people who are go-givers, who are spiritually entrepreneurs, the kind of people who want to leave the world a better place, which are frankly the kind of people I end up coaching over the years. Business will happen naturally through a show and tell model, which is let people show their gifts and teach and experience, and people naturally will flock and say, hey, this resonates, I'm excited, let me learn more. And they'll hire each other and they'll work together and collaborate. And I jokingly say my long-term vision for this community is similar to like the kind of summer camps I went to as a kid, which is like, I like to see that people meet within this group, have kids, and then their kids are going to be in this rooted community 20, 30 years from now. That's my vision. And I would say right now, the closest thing we have to it is that your son, Yehuda's in it.
Right.
So you've created that multi-generational connection.
I have. We're starting now. Yeah.
Yes, we are starting with it already. We collapsed
awesome.
time. So thank you.
Anytime. Yeah, it's just been so wonderful for both Baruch and I. And that's how we met. And I would love to hear about you. You have a wonderful book out, and I'd love to hear what you do and your story, and just talk about total self-trust.
Yeah. So I would say I grew up in a small town, northwest suburbs of Chicago. And my hometown was where they filmed the movie Groundhog Day. And so it was more like Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania than actual Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. That's why Bill Murray edged them to shoot there. And it's, great place, had about 18,000 people, but everybody was very much the same. And I was one of those one of these things is not like the other kind of kids.
Yeah, I get that.
And I had this really interesting mix as a little kid because I was really shy and I was really angry and I was really frustrated. I think it was like this not fitting into this mold. And so on one hand, I had this nice balance of divine masculine energy from my dad, who's town eye doctor, and got me, between him and my brother, got me lifting weights really young. I started lifting weights at 6.
Wow.
And we had sand weights in the basement. And my oldest brother, who was 14, had, pictures of girls up on the wall and Van Halen, and told me girls don't have cooties really young. So thank you, Andy, for that one. And then I had Tony Robbins on tape really young. So I got introduced to a lot of this, what we'll call divine masculine container. And then on the more magical divine feminine side, my mom's a retired art teacher. And my dad's two sisters have had a pretty profound role in my life as well, where one of them, who's now since passed, was a channel and worked over at University of New Mexico to, be closer to where the UFOs were. And the other one was into a lot of things that are trending now. So she's 87 now, and she was a Hawaiian shaman and Reiki master and NLP and Jinsen Jitsu and all of these things, astrology, numerology professionally forever, like since the 60s, only allowed organic food in her house. So she was the more embodied version. So I had these incredible role models, and I got into a lot of these things really young. And as the anecdote I like to use to look at myself from where I was at 12 was, I was an athlete on one hand, but on the other hand, my one aunt said, "Where do you want to go for your birthday? You can go anywhere you want. I'll get you whatever you want." And I went to a metaphysical store called Heaven on Earth. And I got Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life.
I know it.
Which has a rainbow on the cover version that I had. So I hid it under my Trapper Keeper so I didn't get punched in the face for having a rainbow on the cover. And I got animal spirit cards. Wow. And so it's like, I like to say, what do you do? I'm like, I live as the 12-year-old version of myself professionally now.
I love that. I might steal that.
Please do. Please do. And that's
amazing.
That's my job. I live as the 12-year-old version of myself, and I get to guide people back to that deep authenticity in such a beautiful way. And in the interim, I've been coaching for 21 years professionally, started in the fitness nutrition space, working with celebs and pro athletes and rock stars and rap stars in that world out in Southern California. And then I went and said, basically most of that magical divine feminine energy was shut off for a very long time because I wanted to prove my worth and prove my worthiness to myself by building this fitness empire, because there was no fitness industry in 2001 when I started. And so what I ended up doing was 2005, we started a meal replacement shake company that it's called Fit 365. We had it for 17 years, sold it in places like Whole Foods. Then I ended up running a radio show on ESPN for a few years called the Empower Hour. So with all of this, it was really well-intentioned stuff. I wanted to leave the world a better place. I was really passionate, but it was all very much about the physical world. Because that spiritual world was still pretty shut off to me. So I was very much what I like to say, looking through the microscope, and then moved back through the telescope after a near-death experience in 2019 that put me into that situation of help me remember who I am.
You can't say that and just bypass that
Not
statement.
Not at all.
I'm sure everybody asks you, hold on.
Yeah, cliffhanger.
Wait, hold on a second. Tell me about how your near-death experience affected you. If you feel comfortable, you can go into it. And did you find your divine feminine through that?
Oh, unquestionably. So my business is called Rapid Harmony. And I realized I had to truly embody not only rapid harmony, but I had to experience all of the different pieces to get back here so that I can hold the container to coach people in these different, we'll call it, imbalances. So after I was fully in that masculine, both divine and wounded, for that long period of time, the near-death experience pushed me fully into the feminine, which, that sounds amazing. Like, no. In some ways, it was incredible because my spiritual gifts rocket shipped, and I was chatting every single day with this Zulu shaman who's built an incredible business for herself, known as the Royal Shaman. And her and I were trading fitness nutrition for shamanic guidance.
Was this after your experience?
This is right after, because I was so in the feminine, and what was going on in the feminine for me was both divine and wounded. So I was spiritually on a rocket ship, but I was begging for clarity and motivation and guidance and systems. My business, I couldn't work. I couldn't lift weights. I couldn't function. I didn't know what was going on. And it just put me into this totally imbalanced place for a very long time. I was very easy to manipulate during that time. So got taken advantage of a lot of times in business and different things because I was fully just in that energy.
Your near-death experience, did you have any awareness when you were in that state of other states or other
so I'll tell you a little bit about what happened. And if people want to dive in more to it, it's all laid out in total self-trust. I wanted to be total self-authentic when writing total self-trust.
Yeah.
And so the gist of it is so much of me was defined by the physical body at that time.
Right.
I was 5% lean. I looked like an anatomy chart year round for like 20 years. And I never got sick and was only eating the organics and, was focused on, I need to be this physical specimen. And what happened to me was I caught what I thought was a cold on January 2nd of 19. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I don't get sick. Whatever, mind over matter. I trained in all the mental game stuff and mental toughness, and it's like mind over matter. And it kept going. I have a lot of Western medicine doctors in my family and in my friend group. So I would FaceTime family members and friends who were docs every day, multiple times, just to kind of get feedback on the fact I'm not getting better.
Yeah.
And finally we hit January 10th. No, it was January 11th. Sorry. So January 11th, I got a message that said, hey, I'm FaceTiming with my uncle, and he's like, you should go get a chest x-ray now. I go there. They start yelling at me, said, get to the ER.
Wow.
I go to the ER, and they run the chest x-ray, and I'm sitting here trying to crack some jokes. And the nurse has a very straight kind of white face, and she grabs the intercom and goes, code sepsis. I go, who's that for? And she goes, you.
Wow.
I was like, what? And that's when like the whole mirage just disappeared.
Wow.
And I sat back and I just kind of started to surrender. And I realized, whoa, maybe I'm sicker than I think. And so now they're giving me every antibiotic in the book, a guy who only would eat organic.
Right.
And they couldn't figure out what's going on. And they're trying other things, and monitors are beeping, and they're like fighting for my life and on a breathing machine and all these different things. And I was like in total surrender mode.
Yeah.
And so fast forward, what ended up happening in that process was a very clear message of, you're not on the right path. This isn't why you came here.
Right.
From a left brain perspective, even the doctors couldn't understand, how are you in sepsis and near death from walking pneumonia? They just didn't get it. And they're doing, the pulmonologist was just perplexed all the way to the end.
Wow.
But from an astrological and shamanic standpoint, it made perfect sense. I could even see in my astrology where water in the lungs led to a reawakening. I was like, dang, okay, thanks for filling all these blanks for me.
Right.
And for me, I got that very clear message that I was on the wrong path. The problem was when that shut off all my masculine, it didn't say, and here's the right path.
Right.
It was like, it was like, nope, left isn't right, but we can't tell you which one of these right paths is the right one.
Which is very divine feminine.
Very much.
Wait, find your wisdom, see where you're going. It doesn't, it's not clarity all the time.
No. No, it's, the analogy I like to use is that, imagine we were to go and say, hey, let's have a movie day. Be a double date. You and B and me, my wife Sarah, and we're sitting here and we're dropping a hundo at least just to go see a movie. And we sit down, and the movie is two couples sitting there having Mai Tai, saying, I love you. This is great. And then the sun sets and they say the end. Be like, screw this. I want my money back. That's a lot of cash. Like, we didn't sign up for this. And most of the type of people I attract into my life and into Rooted and my work are the kind of people who signed up for the expert level of the video game of life.
Yes.
And said, Earth School is tough and we're going to play full out.
I mean, I love that. I love that. Tell me about, a lot of the women, mostly women that I talk to, we talk a lot about, and we do the shamanic work about finding, like, clearing the blocks and the beliefs and the ancestral lineage, like the stuff in the DNA, to unkink the hose in order to make the hose flow. Yes. And when I think about the title of your book and also your story, I guess my question is, like, what things I mean, I know you said I had to kind of really release the fact that I'm the physical, but what did you have to release inside of you to understand that there's more to you? There's a soul and there's this wisdom inside, and how do you cultivate that trust and that wisdom? So what did that look like for you to get to this space?
Oh, great question. So for me personally, this younger version of myself was obsessed with philosophy, consciousness, psychology, Tibetan Book of the Dead. I wore moccasins at school. I helped start the multicultural club, for my town and for my high school. So this was more me. It was because of the surrender and the inability to focus on the physical. I had to go fully into there needs to be a reason why I didn't just die in that hospital. What is it? Yeah. And when I had that awareness, I allowed myself to not know. I allowed myself to have childlike curiosity again and wonder, versus when it was the physical, since I had mastered that game, everything that came to me was like, oh, wise sage of fitness, give me the answers. And it took away my ability to be a newbie again. So here I stepped back into the like open-minded curiosity. And so with Total Self-Trust, which was a 3-year writing journey and also experience, I had to step into this place of realizing, first and foremost, wait a minute, pause. One of those 3 years, I'm not going to write anything because nothing was coming through. Why? Because I realized I don't have total self-trust. Yeah. I trust myself, but I need to embody it fully before I release a how-to manual to develop total self-trust.
Right.
And so for me, I'm like, okay, well, what are the blocks? And I had already gotten to this point of this awareness that there were multiple versions of the self. And I knew there was an acronym for the ego that I liked, which was one that Wayne Dyer used in the beginning of his career, which was Earth Guide Only.
Oh, wait, Earth Guide Only?
Earth Guide Only.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
I loved it. He only used it in the beginning on his shows.
Okay.
But then he stopped using it, and I'm like, you should have kept it. I loved it.
That's amazing.
Because then it's like, it's not like some bad thing that you want to kill.
Right.
Right. Like we were given this opportunity for a reason. So I've loved that acronym, this Earth Guide Only. It's like remembering who that piece of me is. This is my Earth Guide. But I realized there wasn't an acronym for the self. And so for the higher self, what came through for me was sacred, empowered, luminous force. That it's like your light body. It's your actual self. It's that version of you that can see that whole field. And so I realized that I'd shut off the relationship to that, and that it was all hustle culture for me. Yeah. And so as I went through that process, I was like, okay, now that I'm here, what's stopping me from having total self-trust? And I said, well, I've got one of those worried Jewish mothers that turned into some great stand-up comedy bits for me. And I realized, like, there's a lot of indoctrinated worry here. Yeah. And I go, what are my 2 biggest fears? I'm going to face them. And one was this loneliness, like a fear of loneliness. So I was like, that's like the most painful experience I've ever had in my life is loneliness. So like going through divorce was the most lonely experience of my life. And the most painful, like more painful than physical pain to me. Yeah. And then the second one was death. And so I said, okay, how am I going to address these? So I paused while I finished up this 3-year shamanic training I was going through this woman I connected with named Soaring Blue Eagle. And she's basically the 7th generation under what could be considered the Mount Rushmore of North American shamanism, which is Red Cloud and Black Elk and Bear Heart are all part of this lineage. And so I said, all right, I'm going to do my vision quest with you out on this land with no distractions. And that was this profound 4-day experience that felt like 4 months of my human experience that made me drop all loneliness. And I realized, what they call I am them and they are us, which is basically I am everything in front of me.
That's beautiful.
And got to experience that versus just know it cerebrally. And that was phenomenal. And then for death, I said, all right, well, I have kids, no interest in dying. I want to be here. I love this life.
Right.
But what's the closest way to dying that I can do? And to me, it was 5-MeO DMT. It was Bufo. So I said, all right, well, if I can kill myself and in 20 minutes be back to work, great. That's pretty practical. I don't have to go out to the jungles of, Peru for a week. I can just die here and be back in time for dinner. Totally convenient.
You sound like my husband.
It was very pragmatic, and it met the requirements of my wife. It's like, okay, you're not going to go leave me here with the kids for a month to go out and go drink some ayahuasca. Like, just go take a half a day off.
Right.
And so I did that and returned to the source of all during the experience. And what was really fascinating for me is the embodiment process of that particular experience. It took me about 2 weeks to come back into being Kyle. So for 2 weeks, I was playing the role of Kyle, living in what can be defined as like a Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
And so I would get onto my coaching sessions, and some people would just start crying.
Wow.
Before I was even saying words.
Wow.
Just from the vibrational frequency that I stayed at. And I was like, oh, now I get it. This is what it's like. And I was like, it would be cool to stay in this all the time. And then after about 2-3 days, I was like, no, it wouldn't, because it's completely disassociated from my human experience. I need to remember this feeling so that I can aim for it, but I still need a target. So it brought me down, and I would say most of my day, I'm pretty much vibrate around bliss. I'm pretty blissed out despite the chaos of the outer world. And I still don't bypass. I have all the human emotions, but I don't hold on to them.
So you feel that you live in that sense of bliss now too?
Most of my day, I'm in bliss.
Yeah. It really is like you get to this point when you do the work and you're willing to face your darkest fears. And so many people have that fear of the darkness.
Yes.
And it sounds to me like you've really, really faced that. And then that bliss is like, sometimes when I lead somebody through their emotions, like the rage and the death and the dark and the fear, and there's nothing left but light and bliss and joy and love and God.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess my question for you is, like, you're talking about this idea of total self-trust and how you found it and how you faced it. And we could say God or spirit or source, whatever you call it, but where does God play a role in your connection to bliss? Like, do you have a conscious connection to this idea of God, or is there a delineation between self-trust and God trust? Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And I believe we are God, source, universe, whatever word people can resonate with, experiencing itself, and that we are this fractal, having this experience and having all of these experiences. And so for me, I sit with this awareness that there is no separation and there is separation, which is this really interesting dichotomy that two things can be right at the same time. One of them being we are literally one consciousness. And I've gone back to and been that one consciousness during this human experience as Kyle. Thank you, psychedelics.
Right.
And I've also been so focused in the Kyle experience and just gone, fuck, and how am I going to pay my bills?
Right.
I'm like, that is all wonderful.
Right.
But like the house is on fire.
Right.
And like, so for me, I sit in reverence. Reverence that both parts are true. I am this spiritual being and I'm having a human experience, and both are important. And I'm a big fan of cosmic jokes. Like Rooted, for example, when I decided to make it a gifting community and I was trying to figure out, how do I solve this problem? Usually if I'm sitting quiet, the creator of Sense of Humor, who also happens to be the creator, planted a little seed for me that said, make it a gifting community like Burning Man with less orgies and more drugs.
I love it.
And so then I sat with that message. I started laughing and the cosmic joke kicked in. And it was kind of like the idea of like, this is not, not to get granular on what happens at Burning Man or not, because it doesn't for everybody, but it was more just the message of like, this is a loving community and you're in a happily married situation. You don't need any of that part. And the more drugs wasn't literally, let's all take more drugs. It was much more like, keep moving into the expansion of consciousness and focus in on the everybody is a go-giver and gives, and naturally people will learn how to receive. Yeah. That's a long-winded version of the cosmic joke, which was don't do less orgies, more drugs. And I'm like, it was funny, and it came from somewhere. I love that. So to me, I like to look at it like things don't have to be so serious here. And humor, laughter is the best medicine. So where I usually come back to things from a quantitative perspective is, I heard this statistic that said the average child laughs 400 times a day and the average adult laughs 4. Wow. And I said, forget adulting. Yeah. I'm never going to adult. Yeah. I want to be diagnosed with Peter Pan syndrome. Like, no way am I going to adult or grow up. Like, forget that. And so I started using that as a metric with my clients, which is that light-heartedness and that awareness. And also within myself is like, am I feeling heavy and dense and stuck and looking through the microscope of life too much? Or am I opening? And that became the metric with all of it.
That's beautiful. I mean, and there's so many things I could pull out from what you said. The word that I hear when you're talking is wisdom, right? And perhaps self-trust is receiving wisdom and trusting from yourself. Look, I think there's two things. You went through a huge period of death, right? Which created more self-trust because you faced what was like a literal death and then like these two things that scared the shit out of you. Right. So you grew that muscle, the inner muscle, instead of the muscles. You grew that muscle of self-trust. And I always see this as two, like we need both. If I can build that muscle of self-trust within me, now the next phase is to trust the creator. Yes. And yes, we are both. But a lot of us grew up with like, why would I trust myself? Right? I have all these wounds. I have all this physical world could be traumatizing. So a lot of us grew up with the lack of self-trust. So I always see it as twofold. The creator comes down and we have a choice to like really open up to that beautiful laughter and that trust. But what if we don't trust ourselves?
Well, the non-trusting of the egoic self is usually because so many of our actions are not done from a place of alignment and aren't done from a place of inner power. So we give our power away, or we're acting out of honor, respect, and integrity for ourselves and those that we are connecting with, that we shut that off, that connection to source. Yeah. And when we're disconnected from source or we're disconnected from love, lots of bad crap tends to happen. Yeah. Because you're now connecting with the vibration that is not serving you. So if we're giving our power away and not trusting ourselves and not loving ourselves, like, why would I trust myself? And so to me, a lot of that comes around this idea of confidence. A lot of people are like, I don't have a self-trust issue. I'm totally confident. And so I say, okay, wait a minute. Let's delineate what confidence is. Most confidence is what's called ego-driven confidence. That's the term that came through for me. And I said, well, real confidence is a soul-fueled confidence, meaning it's basically a confidence that is coming from Creator through you, where you are basically in this process of channeling information in conversation and everything. So you don't have to think about what you're thinking about. And so if you want to set a goal with that, the goal I set for myself was basically this. I said, I want to have no skeletons in my closet, but the boundaries of do no harm, take no shit is also like, I want to have no skeletons in my closet. And I don't even want a closet, but it doesn't mean that everybody even gets through the welcome mat.
Yeah.
Because in this density, we have real heaviness. This is a heavy, heavy school. And just like if I were to go to school, like my kids' school right now, they have a huge bullying problem. A lot of people are learning their lessons through experience, and we all learn through experience. And sometimes we're, you know, the less light part of we are all one is remembering that we are not only the victim, we are also the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And that is hard.
I mean, that's a bitch.
It's a real bitch. Like, oh crap, that's me.
Oh,
I don't like that side of me.
Yeah, in some of the past life work I've done with people, including myself, and in lineage work, you can start seeing that the lineage, the part of your lineage you hate, is part of yourself, right? So on one hand, you have victim consciousness. On the other hand, you have perpetrator consciousness, and that we all have done something. We are all victim or perpetrator at one point or another.
I think in a lot of capacities, we're victim and perpetrator in this incarnation, in every incarnation. And that's a hard thing for us to swallow. Yeah. Men, I feel like in so many cases, can get stuck in the vibrations of guilt and shame. And the guilt can be from things that could be considered relatively small. And the shame can be from things like, I never accomplished my goals.
Right.
And they can be from big things. And so a lot of, again, back to that Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life.
Right.
A lot of what came in for me from that and trying to embody that was the remembrance that we are always changing and evolving. And I've always hated the saying of once a this, always a that. I'm like, there is 7, 10, 15 different Kyles that have been on this planet. I'm liking this one the most. Yeah. But I like and respect the other one. They were doing the best they could with the information they had, and their intentions were never evil, but not everything was perfect. And probably the biggest shocking moment I ever had in my life with this was my 10-year high school reunion. So I went to my 10-year high school reunion thinking of all the stories I'd created about myself and my experience. And at the time, my shake was going good. I'm training celebrities, and I'm like, I'm going to show them I succeeded. And I show up, and I'm having some conversations. And first thing I saw was I opened up the yearbook, and I started crying. I was like, these are just little kids. These are a bunch of little kids. In my head, I thought they were these like things, but I'm looking back, I'm like, look at a bunch of little kids. Like not much older than my kids. So that was the first aha. The second was when 2 girls came up to me and told me that I was their bully.
Wow.
I was floored. I had no idea. Literally no idea. No recollection, no idea, no awareness. I apologized profusely. I was like, that wasn't my experience, but it was yours, so I caused it, and I am so sorry. And I had no idea.
Wow.
But from their perspective, they're like, wow, we're facing our bully Kyle. And you should have seen what you wrote in my yearbook. I'm like, I don't remember. I don't recall any of that.
Yeah.
And when I sat down with that, it was the biggest humble pie of like, wow, I'm the villain in her story.
Yeah.
Whew. That was a hard pill to swallow.
One. Yeah.
But since then, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a once a then a. I'm like, now I'm message them happy birthday and all that stuff on Facebook. And I'm focused on little touch points of like proven over time embodiment of who I am now.
I think, you said men mostly deal with guilt and shame. And I think a lot of women deal with fear and doubt. And I call those actually the 4 roots. Those are the things that like fester. right? If we're not careful, it's like that. I can see it in like the root chakra, and they just fester in there. And I think for whether you're masculine or feminine, it is about like you had to go back in time to retrieve the perpetrator that you were.
Yes.
Right. It reminds me, I was too. I was I was bullied and the bully.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know when it was, middle school, probably, because everybody has one or the other in middle school.
I have 2 kids in middle school right now. Middle school sucks.
He called me yesterday. He's like, please pick me up and don't ever let me go back.
Yes.
It's awful.
You're just going to survive.
I know. Like I did it. You have to do it.
Yeah. And I'm like this, like, I don't sugarcoat that middle school anything.
Same.
I'm very straightforward with the kids and just say,
yeah
this sucks.
Oh,
yes, you are smarter than the teachers. Yes, you are more evolved.
Right.
Yes, you are. Like, no, you are not just thinking things.
Totally. I think our kids should meet.
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
my youngest son is totally, he's just like, I can't believe I have to hang out with these kids. He's like, I know so much more. I'm like, so you have to get through it. But my point also is, these roots fester. And then I think to build self-trust, it's very shamanic, right? I'm sure you've done it. You really have to go in there and retrieve, right? You can call it parts work or soul retrieval. But if you don't open up the suitcase that really does live in here, if you don't open it all up and say, okay, I'm going to take a long, hard look at what is inside of here, I feel like that arm of self-trust is wobbly until we really build it. And then comes the God consciousness, because God was here all along. She's just shining this light and saying, okay, great. You cleared some of this.
Right.
Now the vessel is cleared out and I have more room. I think my question is, or my statement to you, and I'm curious, this all feels to some people so broken, right? I'm the perpetrator. I'm the victim. I have all this shit. And there's so much talk in the healing world about truly being broken. In fact, I feel like we have created a broken system.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to me that you're feeling that way.
No.
And so I want you to talk about like this broken system, which is actually whole.
So the image I decided on that all the marketers said, don't do it. And I said, awesome. I'm going to have total self-trust when writing a book called Total Self-Trust.
Right.
That's on the cover of my book is a person sitting in a nice meditative state. And it's a silhouette that looks like kintsugi, which is the Japanese art where they repair the vases with gold. And it was based on this idea that we aren't broken. And to me, that's been the wisdom that has come through any time I slow down.
Yeah.
And I think that part of coming to Earth School, along with our Trapper Keepers, which not sure how much your audience ever had one, but some of them probably did.
I think they did.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. Cool. So
sure.
Along with our Trapper Keepers back in the day.
Love that.
And our notepads and our books and everything is this feeling of brokenness. And unfortunately, in a lot of religious indoctrination, there's an idea of you are born broken. And I just like to say, have you ever looked at a little baby and gone, you little piece of crap sinner, you broken piece of crap? No, they emanate so much light because they're so close to having been in the veil that everybody looks at babies and puppies. And if you want proof, look at the views on Instagram and likes of babies and puppies and kittens. I rest my case.
You haven't met
None of them are broken.
You haven't met my puppy.
I'm sure other people will see your puppy and see the photos and go, oh, right?
Yeah.
So doesn't mean they live with them.
I know.
Maybe housebroken.
Yeah,
That's about it.
Totally.
But not broken.
Right.
And to me, it's a remembrance.
Yeah.
And the remembering is like the bringing of all of those parts together. You're reconfiguring almost like a transformer. And it's not that we're broken. It's just loving, forgiving, and accepting yourself. And when you're loving and forgiving and accepting yourself, it's a truly slowing down and not just saying the words of like, okay, wait, I love myself. What does that feel like to even say?
Yeah.
And if the first thing, somebody goes like, well, that's a bunch of shit. I'm like, woo, okay, your experience must be really, really heavy. So let's stop being a realist for a minute because your reality kind of sucks.
Right.
And let's actually get down to the root of actually being able to say, I love myself.
Yes.
Forgiving yourself, whew, that's one of the hardest things. Everyone thinks that the outside is the biggest perpetrator and bully, but I believe forgiveness and self-perpetration and self-bullying is the worst bullying. And then accepting yourself is another really, really hard one to like. We as high achievers always want something so big on the outside, but like, can we accept ourselves who we are now?
Yeah.
That has been one of my hardest part of all three of those. I'm a creator and I'm here for this big mission and I'm here to leave the world a better place and this and this and this. And like, can I be cool with the fact I'm just sitting here chilling, talking to a new friend on a Thursday?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I accept myself now and I'm grateful for the now.
And I feel like what you're saying is deep presence, right? Self-acceptance is like, can I just sit here and be here without having to strive? Right. It's like deep acceptance. And from that comes deep presence.
You know what my business was called before Rapid Harmony? Strive for Fitness. My business name shows you my state.
Yes.
I was striving for.
Always reaching
for. I was not present
here
in a harmonious state.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious. It was just striving for. And I was like, was that giving me repeat customers? Because they're always striving for and everyone's staying with me every month. I'm like, never achieved fitness. I didn't call my company Achieved Fitness. I called it Strive for Fitness.
So you're always coming back.
Keep staying with me. 10 years, my average client. I unintentionally built a good business model, but it was always based on a striving energy.
That's so interesting. So interesting. I think to conclude, I would love to know, because my podcast is called Soul Stories. I would love to know who you are when you are completely, fully in that soul, light, consciousness energy. What do you emanate? Like what words, what feelings come through you when you're really in it?
I would say bliss, joy, laughter, playfulness, connection, safety, home, and remembrance are good foundational words to describe who and what I am. And I would say the bridge. And if I were to give myself a title that resonates for me personally, is like this party planner of salvation.
That is so perfect. I love that. I feel like that's similar to where we started was, you changed my life and you didn't know it. And you're the party planner, but you have a deep intention this time.
Yes.
Right? Like you're a go-getter, you're an achiever, but you learned the hard way, but you were meant to wake up, right? That near-death experience was like a call, and you heard the call and you changed your life. And I'm sure, and we didn't talk about it and we don't have to, but I'm sure your relationships, your personal relationships must have changed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it changes everything. It changes your vibration, your consciousness, how you think. So that's got to emanate everywhere. That bliss, I can see it energetically in you, right? That light, that vibration. And to me, that's life-changing.
Yeah. And
so, yes, you changed my life in the Rooted Entrepreneur Group. But I think just sitting here, presence, right? This conversation, I think that's life-changing. So I just want to thank you for coming.
Thank you. It's appreciated. And I would say from a relationship standpoint, it's anything can be resuscitated. And for me, it was all of my relationships, including my wife, my kids, my parents, fully resuscitated. They were, I breathed life into every one of those relationships. That's beautiful. I make it an intention to do my best I can on those every day. Sometimes my best isn't perfect. Sometimes it's actually crappy. Right. But it's intentionally there.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Just to follow through here, what do you have going on? Tell me what you have going on.
Right now, I have, a really big opening and movement with Total Self-Trust in the book. So I'm really excited about everything that's coming with that. And then I have some new projects coming out for Rapid Harmony around helping people get into aligned momentum with Quantum Catapult, and then a new mastermind coming called the Quantum Leadership Mastermind that I've been really excited to bring out to the world in the next little bit.
Amazing. Amazing. It's so inspiring to, every time I ask somebody, what's going on with you? Tell me what's going on. Everybody has projects.
Yes.
I'm doing this and I'm doing this.
Yes.
And I just think, we're just to be in that energy is so exciting. So
it's super exciting. And I will say equally as important is my son's final hockey tournament this weekend.
Nice.
So I do get to be here now, and that starts tomorrow morning.
Good for you. Good for you. I love that. Well, thank you, Kyle, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm super grateful. And the resonance is unquestionably there. And everybody who listens is lucky to have you as a guide.
Thank you. Thank you.